Hello and welcome to another podcast lifted by Lyfeproof. My name is Georgia and I am your host. We are joined today by Paris, who is a therapeutic practitioner. Hi Paris, how are you?
I'm really excited to be here, so thank you so much for having me.
We're glad to have you. So can you start off by telling us a bit about yourself and your journey?
My name is Paris. I am the founder of Journal to Dreams. Journal to Dreams is an organisation that works with women, children and families. We deliver one-to-one therapeutic interventions, workshops and self-help books with the main aim of guiding women, children and families back home to themselves. We also do a number of fundraisers as well. So like for instance, last year we did a campaign in Gambia, book campaign for children. The year before we did a sponsored walk for children and young people affected by domestic abuse. So we do a whole host of things to help the community.
That sounds great. So if someone was to come to one of your workshops, what could they expect? When I know you've got loads of different ranges, but say a group workshop.
Okay, so in terms of children and young people, we deliver a lot of workshops in schools, colleges and universities. There are around, I would say, 10 participants, around 2 hours, and it's really about celebrating the innate value that each young person has. I feel like there's a lot of pressure, you know, to do well in your exams, to have a 9 to 5. There's so many different expectations that a young person has. So for me, I walk in, I'm not a teacher, I'm not a school educational professional, and I just want them to have that safe space to just look at what they bring to the table that's unique to other people, and to celebrate each other. And that's something that once they actually sit down and they look at how many skills that they have, it's almost like it's a breath of fresh air. And some of the things that we've said is that I didn't even realise that I had this innate value. So little comments like that just makes it worth it, and I think it kind of takes away from the educational.
So what sort of like activities would you do with them?
So something that we did, I was in a school last week and we delivered the Me First programme. So that's a signature programme for Journal to Dreams, and it's all about celebrating who you are. So we look at like healthy boundaries, we look at fears, overcoming fears, we look at who you are as a person, what do you enjoy doing away from school. If nobody was looking, who would you be?
What would you do?
What would you do? Who would you be?
I think it's really important that someone helps young people actually get this out of themselves. Like I know I didn't have that when I was actually at school, so to see that someone is doing something that can help people, guide younger people into what they want to do, because it's hard leaving school. You know, there's a lot of pressure on people, and you can get confused, you can get a bit lost in everything. If you could give yourself advice from when you were, say, in secondary school, what sort of advice would you give yourself now?
Have you got all day?
We have. Give us as much as you can.
One of the things that I do want to say is that, and I tell this story all the time when I'm doing the workshops in schools, and it was that when I was in primary school, I was on something called the red table. Now the red table was the table for underachievers.
Oh gosh.
So it was a table where we had to have special support, and it was made known that it was the red table. So that's something that followed me through life. Even though I went to university, I got a 2-1. I never felt that I was good enough. And that's a story that I always tell, because I say, look at how the curriculum made me feel this way, and look what I've been able to achieve as a businesswoman, and done really well in life through kind of following what I'm good at. So we always say you have to go to school, and there's so many perks to being in education, to attending, to doing really well with your grades, but also don't forget the side that is unique to you.
Definitely.
So it's really about trying to balance the two, because I'm all for education. I really am, like going to university, having that experience, but don't forget who you are as a person, because you have a story inside of you that's unique to anybody else's.
But it's really hard to, you know, it's easy to lose that. So you do need to stay focused and things like that, and to meet people like yourself to push you towards what you actually want to do in life.
Absolutely. And I think that's why it's important that we don't just deliver these workshops when they're leaving school. It's all about early prevention. So we have to start in primary schools, because these are the skills that they need to learn from a young age that actually I'm unique. What somebody else is good at, I'm not going to be good at, but that's okay, because this is my strength. And I think these are the kind of skills that we need to embed into children and young people from a
Very
young age,
young, definitely.
so that when they don't do well in an exam, that doesn't define their journey and who they are as a person.
And I think now, after like COVID and lockdown, in a way I'm sort of glad it's happened, because it's making people think more about the mental health and everyone else's mental health around them. Because before that, even when I was in school, like 10 years, say, no one spoke about mental health, no one spoke about feelings. It was literally, you've got to go to maths, you've got to go to English, you know, and that's it, you go home, and then feelings aren't spoke about. Whereas now I feel like you can speak about things, and it's nice that I'm seeing people open up, and people, even kids, speaking about things that I would definitely not have spoke about as a child. So it's good that you're doing that to bring out and that actually putting things like this into schools.
I think you're absolutely right in terms of that stigma. Mental health, when we thought of mental health before, it was kind of like, are you in a straitjacket, or you're going to be in a room with four walls? But we're having more open and healthy conversations, and that's like another segment of the work that I do, is working with families as well, because it's difficult. It's really difficult, isn't it, when you have to be a parent? Like, do you have a safe space for your child or young person to speak about how they feel? Because that's important. They spend most of their time either at school or at home. So what are we doing in those two areas to kind of bridge the gap?
And to actually bring in the family together to talk, because I know that it's hard to get everyone together and to actually speak. Like Christmas Day, that's probably like the most your family will be together, but then no one's going to sit there and talk about, oh yeah, I was upset, you know, because then everyone starts kicking off.
No, absolutely.
But so it's nice to do it out of just like special occasions, to make your own occasion to speak about it, to get things, you know, fixed, and to get everything out in the open.
You're absolutely right, and I think we live in a culture where everything's a rush.
Definitely.
Everybody's in a rush, and like
everyone's here, there, everywhere, working, doing this, doing that.
This is it, and even when we achieve something, we don't even sit in the present to just celebrate what we've achieved. We want to achieve the next thing. So I think it's like trying to work towards being more grounded in the present, so you can actually look at what is going on around you, like what are the issues that I'm facing, what do I need to do next, and like being able to have those healthy and open conversations with the people that you feel safe with. And that's family, isn't it? When you're a young person, you want it to be your parents or your siblings, so that you don't go out into the community and confide in people that don't have your best interests at heart.
What's one of your like highlights of your career? So I can see that you've featured on the BBC and things like that. Would you say that's your like highlight?
I don't know if it was definitely amazing to be celebrated for the work that I do in the community. But I think the highlight is, more than anything, like the BBC and the accolades is amazing, but none of that is possible without the community. In terms of children and young people, practitioners that I work with. I think the highlight for me is every single time I deliver a workshop and a young person allows me into their space is my highlight, because I think if I can impact children and young people, that's what I mean. If I can be that person, because when I was at school, I had one teacher in secondary school that believed in me, and she carried me through. Honestly, without her, I don't know. And I spoke to her last week actually to thank her.
Yeah. No way. See, that's rewarding in itself, isn't it?
I want to be that person for a young person, or for a child on their journey, to say, I remember that lady that came in and delivered that workshop, or she said this one thing to me that I'll never forget. So I think that's for me, like children and young people, inviting me into their space, because it's hard, isn't it, when you don't know a person, they've come in to deliver a workshop and you don't know them. So that's definitely one of my highlights, I would say. And also starting a business, I think that's important, because I think that's something else that's not really taught in school.
It's not. So, and it's hard to know what you want to do. Even if you want to start your business, how would you do it? And is there support for you to actually start that?
This is the thing, I think there's a lot of support out there, but children and young people don't know where to go for that support. So for me, it was just kind of starting. So I think it's, if you can make money from something, a skill that you have or an innate value,
then
you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly, and that's I think that should be the goal of life, really. You don't want to be wasting your life doing jobs where you don't feel like you're reaching your full potential. How long have you had your company for?
So it'd be registered a year next week, actually.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. Yeah. So it's lovely to see that you've done so much and impacted so many people's lives in the short space of a year. So when do you think you're going to try and expand?
This year.
This year? Okay.
It has to be done, because I think for me, the thing that I keep coming back to when I look at my legacy is impact.
Yeah. So the more people, the more...
And it's not for me about hiring people that have got all these accolades, it's about hiring people that have a love for what they do, because unfortunately there's a lot of people in the industry that have lost love for what they do.
Yeah.
So if I can see that you have this spark, or you have something that you can bring to the table, I want you on my team.
Yeah.
And it's also, it's not like I'm the boss, we're working together. Like
together,
what can we do to kind of improve systems and change for young people? So
what made you transition from full-time employment to entrepreneurship?
Wow, that's a big one. There was a number of factors. I think the first factor was that I went to uni and studied criminology and criminal justice. Then I went through a number of jobs. I was, what did I do? I worked in the prisons, I was a probation officer, I worked as a youth justice officer, I was a multi-systemic therapist. And one of the things that I found was that there was a lot of red tape in terms of what I could do to support. So it might be that I could only work in one area of life. So for instance, when I was working in the criminal justice system, it was just offending behaviour, but I couldn't support the family in other areas. So that was the first factor.
So you felt restricted with what you could do, really?
I felt really restricted, and I really wanted to help them in other areas, because I feel that it's holistic support. It's really difficult to work in just one area when there's so many different things that the family or young person needs support with. So that was the first thing. And I also hit rock bottom. I had a breakdown.
Oh no.
Yeah, I remember, and I just remember looking in the mirror and basically feeling like I just didn't know who I was anymore.
Yeah.
I felt like I was kind of told to go to school, go to uni. So I got the degree, got the job, my dream job that I really wanted in the probation service, and I just didn't feel fulfilled.
You thought, do you know what, I don't actually want to do that?
Yeah, it was it was almost like I reached that milestone, but I felt nothing. I felt numb.
You felt like there's more that you could be doing with yourself.
Yeah. That's and that spiral. There was a spiral. I just spiraled out of control, and I just wasn't happy with who I was. So then I was just like, do you know what? I have got nothing to lose at this point. Let me start a business. So it started as something as silly as posting quotes on Instagram.
Yeah.
My whole business started on Instagram.
That's good.
And it gained traction. Just me like living in my truth, just like recording videos and just being my authentic self.
What has life taught you then?
Oh, you give me some really good questions here.
Because I know you're saying that you've obviously worked in a prison. Has that led you to where you are now?
I think the main thing that life has probably taught me is that you can have your whole life planned out. You can say that by this age I want to have achieved this. Excuse me. But life doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Life comes with bumps in the road. Life comes with obstacles. Life comes with lessons. But it's all about how you overcome those lessons and how you manage those lessons. So be kind to yourself, because society teaches us that we have to get it right first time. We don't. It's a training ground, and we learn as we go. So that's probably my thing. Just be gentle to yourself, because you're not always going to get it right, and everything is a lesson and an opportunity for learning. So that would be the main thing, and probably that it's going to be okay.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? That would be the main thing for me.
Who has influenced you?
I think my biggest influence and my biggest motivation would have to be my two sons.
Oh really?
Yeah, they would have to be, because one's 8 and one's 4, and it was soon after I had my youngest son and had the breakdown that I was like, no, I have to keep going, because I have these 2 little boys who are watching me, and I want to have legacy, so they can speak about their mum and say, my mum did this, or my mum achieved that. And every time I look at them, I put them to bed, give them a kiss, I just think, I'm doing this for you. So they're my big, and they're honestly, when they see me on my website or they see me making videos, they're like, Mommy, journal to dreams.
I bet they're so proud of you. That is so nice to see. Yeah. Where would you see yourself in 10 years? Or where do you see your business? Where do you see yourself? And what are your goals?
That's a huge question. I think legacy for me is important, and something I always say to even the women that I work with, the children that I work with, is what will your legacy be? Like, what impact do you want to create? And I think for me, it's when I'm long gone or when I'm older, I have a team of people that have the same kind of morals as me, the same values as me, that love what they do, that are still delivering that impact in schools across the country.
So you're saying you want to expand your company to like-minded people that can do the same thing that you're doing?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. So when do you think you're going to start expanding? Because is it just yourself at the moment?
It's just myself.
Yeah, but you're doing so much, so it's lovely to see. What advice would you give to someone that wanted to start their own business?
I think if you're going to start a business and it's something that's going to be sustainable, you have to love what you do. That's the first thing. The other thing is just start. I think it's so easy to say we need to look at branding, we need to look at this, but I'm not ready yet, I'll do it next week. Just start, because you'll learn as you go, and I'm still learning things up until last week. I made a mistake and I thought, oh my gosh, how did I not think of that? But just start and you'll learn as you go, and life is your biggest teacher.
So last thing, if anyone wanted to get in contact with you, where could we find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook or Instagram at Journal to Dreams, all one word, or on my website, which is journaltodreams.com. Or if you want to email me, you can email me at journaltodreams@hotmail.com.
Amazing. So thank you so much for joining us today. I've had a great time.
It's been a pleasure, and it's so lovely to meet you.
And you. I think you're doing an amazing thing here, so keep it going. I hope your business, succeeds.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.